Blueberries. I mean, no disrespect, but it is time to get good. It is time to take off those PvP loadouts and get some good gear to stay alive. Seriously, what is this? What is this? Okay, Guardians, it is time for some tough love, especially to the blueberries. Look, I get it. This is seasonal content. It's usually pretty easy, but this is not only the last season in Destiny 2 ever. Final Shape is going to start the episodes, but this is the season that includes probably the best game mode in recent memory, not including raids and dungeons, obviously. This new mode has a ton of loot to get and has a good challenge to it. Not too hard right off the bat, but gets harder as you continue to play, and again, the rewards are absolutely worth it. But I'm getting ahead of myself. We have a lot to talk about this brand new season, Season of the Witch, as it is now confirmed to be 6 months long. Yes, the final shape was delayed, meaning that we are going to be in this season for the next 6 months, so buckle up. We are going to go over everything from the starting story mission, the main seasonal activity, the weapons, and of course, all secrets, including best farming methods at the start, secret chests, and more. With all that being said, Guardians, let's get started. Now, starting off when you enter the game, you'll see the usual start of season cutscene to kind of catch you up on the story, sort of. It won't cover everything, but it will cover some of the basics. After this, you will automatically head to the Dreaming City, probably my personal favorite area in the entire game, where you will need to go to Riven. Yes, the mythical dragon boss from the Last Wish raid, and you need to take one of her teeth. Yes, this is so that we can summon her ghost. Look, just don't think about it too hard. Just think space magic, okay? It's pretty straightforward. During this time, you simply need to kill some enemies, destroy some boxes, and, again, take the tooth. Once you get the tooth, just leave the area and go back to where you started. You will then be brought to the wish wall where you need to simply shoot the 4 symbols as you see on screen. Once done, you will see Riven's ghost revived, and then you'll get teleported to the helm. Just like all seasons beforehand, this is where you can get your bounties, weapons from your engrams, and more. Next, you'll need to go to the right side area and talk to Queen Mara and start your weekly mission. Remember, each week we get to do about 5 steps in this entire mission for a total of about 55. You will also receive the Queen's Foil artifact, just like the season beforehand, where you get to pick up to 12 perks to use in the season. You unlock these perks by simply leveling up. There are some pretty good ones this season, mostly focusing on solar and some on stasis. Hopefully we get more in the future for stasis. After getting the artifact, simply follow the steps in the quest tab for this week. These will include talking to Riven, where you will get your bounties, more weapons from engrams, and get rank rewards. Trying out Riven's Lair for the first time, which of course is the seasonal activity. Talk to some more people, go to the Blind Well for a couple of times, and finally we'll get our first egg via the Polysemy Mission. Probably butchered that name, but regardless. After that, you're all done. You are finished with the weekly mission stuff, and you can go do whatever you want in the game. Strikes, PvP, Gambit. Don't laugh, there's actually a new weapon in there. And of course, the new Coil mode. Oh, and don't forget to speak to Queen Mara at the helm finally, and listen to the radio message just like we do every week for your title and other stuff. Okay, now I know I just threw a bunch of stuff at you, so I'm gonna break down the important parts that are not simply talk to this person and leave. Let's start with Riven's Lair. Now, Riven's Lair is actually pretty easy. This is the normal seasonal activity that we are all used to, where we simply press the W key and shoot the things that move. That's it. It's a low light level, and you can use basically whatever you want. Simply start the event, head over to the left, and you're gonna enter one of the 3 portals that happen to pop up. Now, the layout is the same for all 3 doors with different traps and areas. The first one is like what you see on screen, which most people are gonna call Spike Door. Basically, the entire activity goes like this regardless of what portal you enter. Enter the portal, go through a trap room while stepping on 3 plates to open the door, enter an arena room and defeat a bunch of enemies, enter a second trap room after that, very similar to the first trap room, leave, and then finally come to a room to defeat a boss. After you defeat the boss, you're gonna get a chest. No pain, no gain, simple seasonal activity. In terms of mechanics in the rooms with enemies, nothing really new that you haven't seen here beforehand, except for this particular one that you're seeing on screen called a virus mechanic. Basically, if you enter the room with a Scorn and you see what is called a Mephic host, then you need to kill it and take the orb that it drops to infect you and your team. This is what allows you to take down the boss in the room. Make sure to first take out the abomination though on the center pillar so you can actually cleanse yourself after taking down both shields on the boss and the mini boss. If you don't, you will actually die. It's a virus after all. If you're fast enough, then you will not need to worry about getting the virus again to take care of the shields. Otherwise, it's pretty straightforward Destiny mechanics and activities. Okay, next up we gotta talk about real quickly, the Blind Well. If you're new to Blind Well, well, don't worry. It's literally press W and fire your weapon. Stick forward if you're on control, I guess. There are different tiers for this. There's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3, but it's not really worth getting into because more likely than not, when you join this, which by the way, you can simply join via the overworld map, someone's gonna drop into tier 3 most likely, and you just simply kill some enemies, stay within the bubbles, and that's basically it. Like, just bring some decent stuff and you're good to go. The only reason we even have to go into this is simply for the weekly story mission, and then you're done. That's it. So moving on. The final mission for this week will be the Polysemy Mission, which is basically one of the 3 doors from Riven's Lair. This week is the Vex one, just like you see on screen. Here, you'll simply go through like you would normally, but you simply need to take down the Minotaurs when you see them get their arc cannon weapons, which then allow you to take down the shield of the boss. Simply defeat the boss, and boom, the first egg is yours. Also, this is your chance to get angry at what are called the spike traps and learn how to avoid and get around these. You can either jump over them, which by the way, you need to go super high, otherwise they will still hit you, or I have found that simply sliding over them after they've popped up for the first time works out pretty well for the most part. You still might die a couple times, but again, in this particular mission, you've got unlimited revives. So just get used to it because eventually you're going to need to know how to get past these for the Coil. But we'll get into that in a little bit. And there you go. That's basically the entire weekly mission for this week. Other weeks going forward, it'll basically be the same thing. Complete some activity, complete some mission, talk to some people, and boom, you're basically good to go. Just remember, as always, to go up to those radios and listen to those messages so you can get everything that you want. Okay, now that we have the weekly mission done though, let's talk weapons, free exotics, and some other changes that have come to the game this particular season. Let's start with the free exotic, Dragon's Breath. This is given to all players, both free and the seasonal pass holders. If you have the season pass, you're gonna get this right away at level 1. And if you're free to play, then you'll have to get this at level 35 in the season pass. This is an exotic rocket launcher actually from D1. It was kind of meh back in the day. I personally actually didn't get to use it because I took a big break from D1, but it seems to be pretty good this time around. But at the time of this recording, however, we do not have the catalyst finished yet. As you might know, these catalysts can take a long time, and we have 6 months in this season. I'm not going to try and do this in one day. You can simply get the catalyst from Banshee in the tower after you've gotten the weapon, simply complete the steps that the catalyst mission gives you, and boom, you'll get it. Again, this takes some time, so try not to rush it. I would say for the average player, it'll probably take you about a week or so if you're simply using this in things like strikes or gambit. Moving on to some other new weapons that we get to see in the game, or some reprised weapons, we get a brand new kinetic auto rifle if you play Gambit. Thorn, the hand cannon, has a new catalyst. Yay! More hand cannons in PvP, so original. This catalyst will drop from activities like PvP, strikes, and Gambit. I myself personally got it in Gambit. Focusing is now available for world drops at Banshee, finally, and some new changes to focusing at Raoul. You can now get more Ascendant alloys and other items, which is pretty nice. Oh, legendary shards. You might have heard that these are going away by the time Final Shape comes out, and as of right now, we still have them in the game. They are not used for focusing weapons and other currency areas. The only place you can really use them right now is simply exchanging for Glimmer at Raoul, and there might be a couple places on the moon if I'm correct. But again, you're mostly going to focus on this at Raoul in the tower. So you might be asking, okay, so we don't use legendary shards, what do we use to focus now? Well, it's basically engrams and Glimmer for the most part. In fact, more engrams drop on average from playlists like strikes and PvP now. So you might actually get between 2 to even 4 sometimes when you're playing a match, and if you win, you should hopefully get more. This is pretty nice, but that also does mean that simply focusing one weapon, or maybe a certain type of armor or anything like that, might cost you more. It depends on what weapon you're going for and where you're focusing at that particular time. Obviously, it's going to cost more for things like adept versions of weapons, but for a normal Gambit weapon per se, it only takes 1 so far. That could change in the future, but we'll have to wait and see. Moving on into the seasonal weapons, we have a bunch of new weapons that you can get from Riven, which can all be crafted, by the way. Personally, I'm eyeing that Stasis Legendary Trace Rifle. The Dreaming City world weapons have also been reworked with new perks. And of course, we have your typical overall world weapons that we can obviously focus and also find ourselves. Now, don't worry, you do not need to go to the Dreaming City and try to farm these particular weapons. Some of these weapons I'm actually kind of interested in, especially the Scout Rifle, which gives you both destabilizing rounds and Repulse Bracer. The best way as of right now to farm these particular weapons is to simply do the new Coil mode, and all is good basically. You have a good chance at getting a bunch of those weapons. Now, In the future, there could be ways to specifically target a certain weapon, and from what I've heard, it seems like lost sectors are a way to also kind of do that, but as of right now, not so much. As with seasons of the past, we have seasonal challenges which unlock upgrades, including guaranteed red borders for you, focusing armor, focusing weapons, and much more. You can actually unlock all of these right now, or you can do them as the weeks goes on. Remember, we've got 6 months for this. Okay, let's get on to the big thing of this video, and that is the coil and how to get everything. Like I said before at the very beginning of this video, this is not your simple seasonal activity you can just walk through. You will need to have a good build, especially the farther you go through the activity. You'll need to know the secrets of this activity in order to get a high score, which, as you might have guessed, gives you tons of rewards the further you go through, including things like ascended alloys, red borders, and so on. And of course, you need to know how to make a good build so you can survive. There's that word, survive. Please think about that as you're going through this. I know the event can start off easy, but the further you go in, you will get one shot, you get one banged, the whole 9 yards. Bring your best stuff. Just do it right now, okay? If you need to level up other weapons, you need to farm catalysts and everything, go into different modes. This is not the mode for that. Okay, let's get into some things though before we even get into this mode. First thing, armor. All right, I'm just gonna say this right now. Get good armor and get it to level 10. I see so many players running around with level 4 armor and no mods. Look, I'm sorry, this is not PvP. You will die trying to bring in PvP builds. You can easily get high stat armor by focusing your armor at Riven. How do you do this? It's pretty simple. First off, get a bunch of engrams just from playing the game. Next, go to Riven and simply focus an engram. Right on the main page. Don't go into anything like simple focusing or anything like that. Go to the top right corner, click on the engram, and hope that the armor drops. Once you've gotten all pieces to drop, you will finish a seasonal mission, which actually allows you to now target focus your armor. With that being done, add a stat mod to your ghost and target the piece of armor. Helmets, chest, you name it. We have a full guide if you want to watch here about farming armor that still holds up to this day. The location and the helm is different to that video, but the method is still the same. Simply focus armor to get exactly what you need for 4 of your pieces. Remember, your bond or your cloak or anything doesn't really matter. But for the other 4 pieces, get some good stat armor and level it up to 100, please. They're not exotic pieces of armor, so you don't need to have a ton of ascended shards, which again, you can get from Raoul or from other activities by doing things like the coil and strikes, obviously. Okay, you got your good armor build, you got your best subclass, and you got your best weapons. Let's go through step by step on how to complete the coil. Okay, the coil is broken down into 4 sections. Each section is a full run of Riven's Lair, so set aside about 45 minutes or so. It could be faster as the season goes on, but in order to complete this at the time of this recording, it takes about 40 to 45 minutes. Don't worry, some people thought that if you go over the 45 minutes, which is the same length as a GM strike, that you're gonna start losing your score. As of right now, I don't think you do, unless you go maybe like an hour and a half into it. I don't know, let me know down in the comments below. Now, obviously with random teammates, things can sometimes go bad. Out of the 4 times that I tried this, I did it all with randoms. I got 2 full rounds done, both hitting about the gold score cap level, and the other 2 times made me want to throw my mouse through my window. Here's what you need to do to complete this activity. We'll cover secrets and chests and rewards right after this, so if you want to skip ahead, go ahead and check out the timestamps down below. Step 1 to this activity is to simply enter the activity and shoot the pot that you see in the middle of the room. This will drop what is called fused wish glass. This is the activity currency where you can actually buy upgrades for the rounds you play. Things like faster ability regen, more damage to the boss, and so on. You only get 100 to start out each time at the very beginning, so I would personally recommend something like ability regen at 300%. Or you can simply save these. The first round is pretty easy when it comes to this activity. Now, head to the left and enter one of the 3 portals that opens up for you. Now, you'll simply need to complete the full area, which is exactly the same as Riven's Lair, except now you're going to be doing it 4 times. So, just like beforehand, enter the door, escape a trap room, defeat enemies in the following room, enter and escape another trap room, and finally defeat a boss. Once that's all done, you simply return to Riven. Then, depending on your score, you'll shoot the pot that will appear at the top of the stairs, and you'll get more fused wish glass. The higher your score, the more you get per round. There are 3 tiers of upgrades, so pick the ones that are best for you and can help with your particular build. Things like Super Recharge are pretty good in my personal opinion, which you can get after a couple of rounds, no problem. At the end of each round, when you return to Riven, you will also see chests that you can open. The first 2 times are simply random chests. The third and the fourth times let you actually pick either armor or weapons with a chance of getting red borders if you pick the weapons. You can also get Ascendant Alloys and other high rarity items here as well. Now, I can hear you racing to your keyboards to ask, how do we get the most points so we can get all the chests? After all, after you finish the 4th round, your score will determine your final loot. If you get under 140k, you'll get a gold score, rewarding you around 3 to 4 chests at the end of the activity. If you score above 140k, you will enter a brand new room after returning to Riven, and you'll get up to 4 chests that will appear right in front of you like you see on screen. Here is how you do that step by step. Every time you enter a trap room, things like poison, provision of darkness, and the spike room, take your time and search for the pots, just like I'm doing right here, to collect all of the motes. There are 3 types that you can find: white, red, and purple. Getting these is what increases your score the most and will help you buy more upgrades in between each round. Also, each trap room has a secret chest area that will only open if your score is at or above a certain amount. The first trap room will always require you to get all of the motes in that first room before the door opens. After that, as long as you're doing well by taking down enemies and getting through most of the activities, the other doors will open no problem, again, as long as you're also getting some of the pots. Now, once you have actually found the chest in a small room / area, there are actually 2 of them. One is legit and one is fake. The fake will kill you. See the spikes? So don't bother trying to open it. It actually won't let you. Look around on the ground of the chest to see which is the real one, and you can easily get your loot. This is where your keys for the season will also come in handy, called Lair keys. These can be obtained in either ritual activities, PvP, strikes, etc., or through upgrades when opening chests or even grabbing materials if you're exploring the Dreaming City. A super easy way to find these chests in the trap rooms until you memorize where they are is to add a ghost mod to track chests and world items. This makes it super easy, but after the first couple of times, or if you're playing Riven's Lair a bunch, you'll kind of get the idea of where they are. By the way, these chests are not in the normal Riven's Lair activity, they're only in the Coil at the time of this recording. Now, as you go through this activity, if you are lucky, you will also encounter a glass collector. If you happen to see an enemy that's all lit up in white, stop everything and kill it fast. These guys will actually despawn and escape after a certain amount of time. This is the only known way as of right now to get the purple motes to get you the most points that you can possibly get. I'm not sure if it's required to get this enemy to reach the 140k score, but it does make it easier. So far, it's the only way I have personally gotten over 140k for a top score. To finish up about pots and motes, we gotta talk about 2 extra things. You can get motes as well from killing enemies, but they don't drop as many. So this is why you might see in the text chat on screen, hey, get the pots. Also, just to clarify, the pots are only in the trap rooms. They are not in the enemy rooms, and they're not in the rooms in between the portals and the trap rooms. So don't bother wasting your time running around trying to find pots unless you are in the trap room. It's pretty obvious when you've collected them all because, again, the trap rooms are not that big. Final tip I have to give real quick is the last boss room. This dude can hurt, and the 3 wizards that are protecting his shield can take you down really fast. This is why we are saying, play it safe, have at least 1 person with a well or a bubble, and again, bring your best loadouts. Other than that though, that's basically the entire activity. This is how you complete the Coil, how you get the platinum score, and of course, get that sweet, sweet loot. Trust me when I say this farm is really good. Unless of course Bungie nerfs things or changes things in the future, as of right now, it is extremely good. It's really not too hard to get some decent level armor, level it up, and be able to actually help your teammates. Even when playing alone and getting matched with others, trust me, you will want to do this. Your teammates will thank you in the future, and don't worry, you're not going to get any DMs calling you out, especially if you're trying to throw like Mr. over here on screen. Yeah, still looking at you, buddy. But other than that, everybody, that is basically everything for the season right now. Now, Bungie has come out and stated that this particular season, while it is technically lasting 6 months, the stuff that we have right now is going to be relevant for about 3 months. There's some other stuff that will be coming out in the months between February and June, We'll have more information on that when it becomes available, but until then, this is basically it right now. There will be some other seasonal events like a winter solstice event and everything, but otherwise, this is pretty much everything you need to know when it comes to Season of the Witch. But how have you been enjoying the season so far? If we forgot anything, by the way, please let us know down below in the comments, or if you're coming in later into the season, let us know if anything has changed. We want to know all your thoughts and opinions. Bonus points, by the way, for anyone who can travel into the future and predict how this season is doing 3 or 4 months. Also, as always, if you enjoyed these type of guide videos, please leave a like on the video as it shows us that you enjoy these videos. And if you want to, check out our other guide videos. We try to cover as many games as we possibly can. With all that being said, I've been Tallen with Direct Gaming. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and I hope you all have a great day. Until next time, everyone, Johnny.